Hello and welcome to PowerDrift. Today is a very special day because Happy Independence Day, but it's also special because Ola Electric is revealing their scooters, the electric scooters, the S1 and the S1 Pro today, and there they are. Unlike all the teasers, they are actually made of black satin cloth. No, they're not. That's the actual scooter. This is the top model, the S1 Pro, 1,30,000 rupees. There will be a base model called the S1, which will be about a lakh of rupees before you account for the state's subsidies. What you should know is that this is a pre-production scooter, which means this is not the final scooter. So we're not going to go into a lot of detail about what goes in there, but we do have the specification, we do know what it's supposed to represent, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. And if you're ready, let's get into it. So now let's talk about the styling, and you should be familiar with it if you've been following Ola's campaign where the marketing and the teasers have shown what the scooter looks like. And honestly, it's not a surprise because this is based on a Dutch scooter called the Ather app scooter, and visually it looks the same apart from the Ola badges appearing on the front apron and the S1 Pro badge at the back, and this is the top model, the S1 Pro. What's the difference between this and the lower model? We'll talk about it in just a minute. What you should know is that while visually it looks like the Dutch scooter, this is a 100% Indian scooter in the sense that the cells inside the battery are part, everything is made in India. And you should be aware that Ola has an extremely ambitious plan, and they're busy building one of the largest two-wheeler plants in the world with the actual capacity supposed to reach 10 million units, which Ola says is 15% of the world's two-wheeler output. Now, design-wise, it's a pretty appealing scooter. I really like it because the panels and the monocoque underneath means the finish levels look really good. We'll talk about it in detail when we ride the scooter in mid-September, which will be a production scooter. This is a pre-production unit, but I think the reason there is appeal is because that headlight sort of looks like a human face. It's a happy human face, and I think a lot of people will connect to it. But what do you think about the styling? Leave us a comment because we're moving on and we're talking about what's under the hood. So as we said, there are two versions of the scooter, the S1 and the S1 Pro. This is the S1 Pro, and the primary difference between them is the size of the battery. So the S1, the base model, it runs a smaller battery. It's just under 3 kilowatt hours, and the top model runs a 4 kilowatt hour battery, which, if you think about it, the S1 is more or less where the Ather is at. But the surprise is that the performance is quite a bit different because the S1 actually offers you a higher top speed as well as a greater range, and the top S1 Pro actually offers you 181 kilometers. Remember, this is on the ARAI cycle. This is not Ola's realistic world claim, which is of course going to be a completely different number, something that we'll talk about when we actually ride the scooter. In terms of setup, there is no real surprise. The Ather app scooter and the Ola scooter, they have the battery pack in the curve there. It's a monocoque frame which uses a combination of metal and plastic. The motor somewhere in there. There's a belt inside this chamber, and of course you can see the suspension. What Ola is promising is a vehicle that has performance levels that we've not seen before, especially on the S1 Pro. Charging times are going to be pretty decent because if you use Ola's coming fast charger network, the top scooter obviously has 181 kilometers of charge. It comes with a 750 watt charger, which means charging times are also less. So I think 4.5 and 6.5 hours are your charge times for this scooter when you're using the home charger. And at least initially, Ola owners will be able to use the Ola hypercharger network for free. So that's the update of what we know about the numbers of the scooter. In terms of numbers, the peak output is 8.5 kilowatts, continuous output is 5.5 kilowatts, and just for reference, we don't know whether this is good, bad or ugly yet, we'll find out. So all in all, what the Ather is promising is more performance as well as more range, but do remember that this scooter is also slightly heavier than the Ather. So when we get to the comparison test stage, somewhere late in September, we'll find out what the two scooters are like against each other. But as of today, the promise is this has the largest range we've seen yet, and remember, Simple Energy has not launched their scooter yet. This also has two versions with two different battery packs, but the motors are the same, 5.5 continuous output, 8.5 peak. So since we're talking about the chassis, it's not just the monocoque that is innovative, the front suspension actually is quite innovative as well because it uses a single-sided swing arm with a monoshock mounted on top, and the rear monoshock is horizontally mounted above the swing arm unit. But what Ola is also doing is they're pushing a lot of technology into the connectivity features of the scooter. So the first thing you should know is that that does not come with a key. What you get is an app which connects to the scooter, and they call it proximity mode. And I'm given to understand up to 4 members of your family will be able to access the scooter using the app. And each time you create a profile for one of these family members, you'll be able to change certain settings on the scooter. So this scooter has both modes and moods. Yeah, modes and moods. Not those moods. So what the modes mean is that you get a normal mode, a sport mode and a hyper mode. The basic S1 only gets normal and sport, and the upper scooter gets normal, sport and hyper. That's 3 modes. Hyper obviously going to be the performance mode. What does it actually mean on the road? We'll find out later. What Ola is saying is that These scooters will get to 40 kmph in well under 4 seconds in both the cases, whether you take the S1, which is the less powerful one, or the S1 Pro, which is the more powerful one. What is also important is that the scooter has speakers built in, which means you'll also be able to control the sounds that it makes, and a lot of notifications will come with their sounds as well. And obviously, you can set up your profile to run the scooter completely silent. This is in addition to the normal set of connectivity features which we expect from electric scooters today. So this does have 4G built in, it has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, it will have push navigation, there is a touchscreen in there, and all of those other features are also obviously there. In time, there will be OTA, over-the-air updates, and the features in the scooters will improve or change or be added to as time passes. So what happens next? On September 8th, you'll be able to pay the rest of the amount due to be able to finally reserve your Ola S1 or S1 Pro. And remember, the prices are roughly 1 lakh and 1,30,000 rupees for these scooters before you account for state subsidies. Depending on where you live, the price of the S1, the base scooter, should fall between 80 and 95,000 rupees. And as more states come online, the prices will continue to fall is the likely chance. When will you get one home? Ola expects to deliver these scooters starting October, and they're saying a lot of cities will come online simultaneously. It won't be a one city at a time rollout, which means at least the major metros will be covered in the initial phase itself. After that comes the question of the hypercharger network, more scooters arriving, delivery times, wait times, and all of those things. And we'll see how this thing goes, because the plan for Ola is extremely ambitious. And remember, this is not a company that just wants to make scooters. There are bigger plans. There will be motorcycles, there will be cars. We just don't know when. What happens next for you and me is that the next thing we do is ride the scooter. Our slot is somewhere in the middle of September, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't, do hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon so that when we ride the scooter, you and I can see this video together. And now, it's your turn to tell us what you thought of the Ola S1 and the S1 Pro. Please do leave us a comment. PowerDrift tries to respond to all the comments we get, so it'd be a super nice thing to have a discussion directly one-to-one with you. Thank you so much for watching. This is PowerDrift.